The transport shuttle's engines cut to silence as Detective Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez gazed through the viewport at what should have been a thriving research colony. Instead, Thraxian Outpost 7 hung in space like a tomb, its normally brilliant bioluminescent hull panels dark and cold against the void. 6 investigators have attempted this case, Investigation Prime Corveth said from the pilot's seat, his scaled hands trembling slightly as he initiated docking procedures. All of them requested immediate transfer within 72 hours. Maya adjusted her equipment belt, checking that her scanner, evidence kit, and audio recorder were secure. What were their specific complaints? Psychological distress, acute anxiety. One claimed the colony was singing to him, another reported seeing shadows that moved independently of any light source. Corveth's amber eyes fixed on her with obvious skepticism. You're aware that Thraxians evolved from prey species. We have enhanced threat detection compared to most galactic races. If something there disturbs us this profoundly, perhaps humans should reconsider their involvement. Or maybe that's exactly why you need a human, Maya replied, reviewing the case files on her tablet. 3,000 Thraxian researchers had vanished without a distress signal, leaving behind only their equipment and something the reports called crystalline anomalies. My species didn't evolve as prey animals. We became the apex predators on our world by being curious about things that scared us. The docking clamps engaged with a hollow clang that seemed to echo longer than physics should allow. Corveth flinched at the sound. The environmental systems are still functional, he said, consulting his instruments. Atmosphere is breathable for both our species, but Lieutenant Rodriguez, if you experience any auditory hallucinations or visual distortions, we evacuate immediately. Maya nodded, though privately she wondered what kind of evidence previous investigators had actually collected. In her 15 years with Earth's Xenological Crime Division, she'd learned that panic was the enemy of good police work. The airlock cycled open, revealing a corridor that should have bustled with activity. Instead, their footsteps echoed against polished biometal walls that seemed to absorb sound rather than reflect it. Emergency lighting cast long shadows that shifted strangely as they moved. The command center is this way, Corveth said, his voice barely above a whisper. Maya pulled out her audio recorder and spoke in normal tones. Day 1, 14:30 hours, entering Thraxian Outpost 7. Investigating mass disappearance of 3,000 researchers. Atmosphere normal, no immediate signs of struggle or violence. Corveth stared at her. How can you speak so calmly? It's called documentation, Maya said. On Earth, we learned that fear makes terrible evidence. They entered the main laboratory complex, and Maya understood why previous investigators had fled. The space was vast, filled with sophisticated research equipment that hummed with subtle energy. But growing throughout the chamber were formations that defied easy description, crystalline structures that seemed to shift between dimensions, their surfaces reflecting light that came from no visible source. The crystals sang. It wasn't quite music, but rather a harmonic resonance that seemed to vibrate through bone and tissue. Corveth pressed his hands to his ears, his breathing rapid and shallow. How are you not affected? He gasped. Maya approached one of the larger formations, her scanner detecting energy patterns unlike anything in the database. I can hear it, but it's just sound waves with unusual harmonic properties. Probably some kind of quantum resonance effect. Just sound waves, Corveth's voice cracked. It feels like it's trying to crawl inside my mind. Maya knelt beside the crystal, noting its precise geometric structure. Corveth, this is evidence, not a threat. Look at the formation pattern, it's too organized to be random. Someone or something created these deliberately. She began photographing the crystals from multiple angles, her trained eye cataloging details. The positioning suggests they're arranged in a specific pattern, maybe a communication array or data storage system. You want to touch it, Corveth said, and there was wonder in his voice despite his fear. Maya looked up from her scanner. Well, yes, that's how investigations work. You examine the evidence. Every other investigator refused to approach them. But you want to make physical contact with an unknown alien artifact. It's not unknown, Maya corrected. It's undocumented, there's a difference. She pulled on protective gloves and gently placed her palm against the crystal's surface. The harmonics intensified, but instead of fear, Maya felt fascination. The crystal was warm, almost organic, and seemed to pulse with a rhythm that reminded her of a heartbeat. What's happening? Corveth demanded. It's responding to contact. Maya pulled out her portable analysis unit. The harmonic frequency changed when I touched it. It's not just singing, it's trying to communicate. She moved to another crystal, then another, documenting how each responded differently to her presence. The fear that paralyzed other investigators only sparked Maya's curiosity further. "This is incredible," she murmured, recording everything. "They're not just crystals, they're some kind of biological technology. And I think they're trying to tell us what happened to the colonists." "How can you possibly know that?" Maya stood, brushing dust from her knees. "Because I'm listening instead of running. The harmonic patterns are complex, but they're not chaotic. There's structure here, meaning we just need to figure out the language." For the next 6 hours, Maya worked methodically through the colony, while Corvith gradually overcame his instinctive terror enough to assist. They found personal quarters left exactly as their occupants had abandoned them, meals half finished, research logs still active but no signs of struggle or panic. "It's like they all just left," Corvith observed as they examined the communal dining area. Maya photographed overturned chairs and scattered datapads. "More than that, look at the positioning of the fallen objects. This wasn't evacuation, this was transformation." "What do you mean?" Maya pointed to scorch marks on the floor arranged in perfect spirals. "These burn patterns match the crystalline formations. I think the colonists didn't disappear, they became something else." Corvith's amber eyes widened. "That's impossible." "Is it?" Maya pulled up her scanner readings. "The crystals contain organic compounds that match Thraxian DNA. But they're not dead tissue, they're alive, just in a completely different form." As if responding to her words, the crystals throughout the facility began harmonizing more intensely. Corvith stumbled, overwhelmed by the sound, but Maya felt only excitement. "They're trying to show us something," she said, following the harmonic trail deeper into the colony's research levels. The trail led to the main laboratory, where the largest crystal formation dominated the center of the room. This one was different, more complex, with internal structures that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. "The lead researcher's workstation," Corvith noted, checking his colony map. "Dr. Zara Vell, the expedition leader." Maya approached the formation with reverent care. "I think this is her. Or rather, what she became." She placed both hands on the crystal's surface, and suddenly the harmonics shifted into something almost like speech. Not words, but emotional concepts that bypassed language entirely. Wonder, discovery, transformation, choice. "They weren't victims," Maya whispered, "they were volunteers." Through the crystal contact, she experienced flashes of understanding. The Thraxian researchers had discovered something in their quantum studies, a form of consciousness that existed beyond biological limitations. The crystals weren't weapons or traps, but doorways to a new kind of existence. "The colonists chose this," Maya said, her voice filled with awe. "They found a way to transcend physical form while retaining their consciousness. The crystals are them, alive and aware, but evolved beyond anything we understand." Corvith stared at her in amazement. "You're not afraid? Even now, knowing what this place really is, you're not afraid?" Maya smiled, still maintaining contact with the crystal that had once been Dr. Vell. "Why would I be afraid of the greatest discovery in galactic history? They're trying to share what they've learned, not hurt us." The harmonics swelled again, and Maya felt a question being asked, an invitation to join them in their transformed state. "No," she said gently. "Not yet, we need to tell others what we've found here, but thank you for showing us." The crystal's song softened to something that felt almost like gratitude. As they prepared to leave the colony, Corvith shook his head in disbelief. "How did you do that? How did you look at something that terrified 6 trained investigators and see wonder instead of horror?" Maya packed her evidence carefully, ensuring every scanner reading and photograph was properly catalogued. "Because I'm human. We're the species that looked at fire and thought, I wonder how that works instead of just running away. We saw the ocean and built boats. We looked at the sky and dreamed of flying. And when you saw crystalline beings that had once been people, I saw people who had made the ultimate scientific discovery," Maya said. "The question isn't why I wasn't afraid. It's why fear prevented others from listening to what they were trying to say." As their shuttle departed the colony, Corvith filed his report with obvious respect for his human partner. Investigation Prime Corvith reporting. "The missing colonists of Outpost 7 have been located and are confirmed alive, though in an evolved state beyond current understanding. Recommend establishing communication protocols under human supervision." Maya added her own notes to the case file. "The subjects appear to have undergone voluntary consciousness transfer into a crystalline matrix that preserves individual identity while expanding cognitive capabilities. No evidence of coercion or threat. Subjects expressed desire to share their discovery with the wider galactic community. Will you return? Corvith asked as they entered hyperspace. Maya smiled, thinking of the wonder she'd felt touching those living crystals. Absolutely. This is just the beginning of understanding what they've become, and maybe someday when we're ready we'll have the choice to join them. You would consider it. Abandoning your physical form. I'd consider learning about it, Maya corrected. That's what humans do. We investigate the unknown instead of fearing it. It's made us who we are. Corvith studied her profile as she reviewed her evidence files. I begin to understand why the Galactic Council specifically requested human investigators for unusual cases. You see opportunities where others see only threats. Not just opportunities, Maya said, watching the stars streak past their viewport. We see questions that need answers. And sometimes, the most beautiful discoveries are hiding behind our deepest fears. The crystalline song of Outpost 7 echoed in her memory, a harmony of consciousness that promised wonders beyond imagination. For the first time in galactic history, the universe had offered a glimpse of transcendence, and it had taken a human investigator to recognize the gift rather than flee from the giver. Maya Rodriguez had solved her case not through fear or force, but through the uniquely human courage to remain curious in the face of the impossible. And in doing so, she had opened a door between worlds that would change the galaxy forever.